Thank you very much. I am an optometrist by training, so if you're having trouble with your glasses, cataracts, or whatever contacts, I'll be glad to give you some free advice. Back in the back. It's a real pleasure to be here, and really my message is I just have come to thank you, for all that you're doing. I can't tell you how important what you do is. It's really been give yourselves a round of applause. But it's been a real pleasure to get to work with Jim and all that he's done. I know he's done a tremendous job in this organization. He does a tremendous job in his community, at the community college, and truly is a great friend and a great colleague. Arkansas, as you know, has been very active in the program. We're very, very proud of what they've done. So often, foreign leaders, foreign people visiting our country, the only exposure that they get is Washington, D.C. or Manhattan, places like that. And I can't tell you how important it is to get out in real America. Not that we're not real in Washington, D.C. or not in those places. Those are wonderful. And yet, there is a difference as you get out into the heartland. I'll give you a couple of examples. I was on first of all, let me also welcome the alumni that are back. I was the co-chair, and then the co-chair now in the Senate, of the French caucus. And my only concern when I'm with our foreign visitors, it's like me being around the ambassador from France. I was always a little concerned that he spoke better English than the guy from Arkansas. But let me give you a couple of examples. I was on also the NATO program in the House, and that's where the NATO Parliament, they're the NATO organization is our allies, military allies and stuff, and so traveled a lot. We had a group come from the NATO Economic Committee. They were from all over the country, spent a week in Arkansas, they went to two places. They went to San Francisco and they went to Bentonville, Arkansas. And they were curious about Walmart, how it functions, so we were able to get them out for a week. I see them all over the world now. And again, the exposure that they had, coming to Bentonville, Rogers was just tremendous. Had another group from Liberia, and I was on another House Democratization that helps young democracies. And this group was a very, very high-level group from Liberia. And it's interesting the difference in how we live. So they were there. I was up here a couple of days. They were also there for a week. I'm here for 2 or 3 days and feeling guilty that I'm not with them the entire time. And so I had my wife and one of my daughters, I have 3 grown daughters, be with them the entire time. And they kind of took my daughter under their wing and started confiding in her. And one of the big deals that we were going to do was go to the lake, and somebody had volunteered a big old cabin cruiser. We're going to ride them around. And the night before, they came to my middle daughter and said they were very concerned about going out. And she asked them why. They said that they were concerned about the boas and the crocs. And Kristen, my daughter, reassured them and said, if there's any boas or crocs out there, I wouldn't be going either. So they went to Walmart, and got some shorts and some deck shoes and things like that, and really had a great experience. Again, those are folks that we talk to all the time, and I think the Egyptian story is a tremendous story. It really does illustrate how we bind the world together. The president of Panama went to the University of Arkansas for 4 years. He can call the hogs. He's as much a radio man. That is how you change the world. And not only the experiences that they get in coming here, but the experiences we get, in getting to know them. And so often as Americans, we're so involved in our own lives and things that we really don't, we don't get to know things. So for all of those reasons and many, many more that we can talk about all day, I do appreciate all you do. We'll help you any way that we can. And again, just want to welcome you here and thank you for the efforts that you're making. And you really are helping to change the world. Thank you very much.
Well, like Senator Boozman, I want to thank you for the work you do, but As Todd has told you, I have done the work you do, and I know that it really is not a burden. It is not a sacrifice. It is something worth doing. It is something to do for its own sake. It is really a joy to do. I was involved, very involved 20 years ago. I was on the board of the local IBC. I was vice president of the board. Was actually slated to be the next president. Those elections were not usually hotly contested. I think I would have won that one. I had to decide at that point. I was deciding to run instead for the legislature. Decided I could not both be in the legislature and president of the IBC. And there have been days that I have questioned that decision. But I continue to be not just a board member, but more important, a volunteer. And very much enjoy the work. Frequently, the Triangle was the first stop after the leadership groups had spent a week in Washington. Their first stop with the rally. There are a couple areas I worked in. I was involved in politics then. I've been chairman of the Democratic Party at age 31. So at that point, I was a former chairman of the Democratic Party. I was still in my mid-30s and legal groups. Judges, law professors, lawyers, prosecutors, ministers of justice would be on the groups that would come and study our judicial system. And it was not exactly bad for me to spend a day with this very distinguished group of judges and go see some of our most prominent judges and be the one that they associated with, giving them the opportunity to sit down and talk to judges from all over the world. It really was something that I enjoyed. I could spend a day, not just to visit as one of their appointments, but to spend a day going around with them, participating in all of their discussions with all of our people who had comparable positions. The Americans learned a great deal from it. I think that this program is worth it just for the exposure it gives the United States. It gives our people to folks from around the world who are perhaps doing something similar to what they're doing, to compare notes to see how it's similar, how it's different, and more important, that the people doing it in other countries are real human beings. I think the reason North Carolina developed a program that was pretty strong at that time was that we had a governor then who grew up on a tobacco farm in rural North Carolina, but he had spent a year in Nepal with the Ford Foundation. So he actually was interested in exposing North Carolinians involving North Carolinians in citizen diplomacy. And then the second reason for doing it is obviously to expose people from around the world, rising leaders, to the United States. I know that one of the tasks of our embassies around the world is to try to spot the rising leaders in their society to invite us to come on this program. And they do a pretty good job. I remember when I was involved 20 years ago, looking at a list of the alumni of the program who were then heads of state around the world. It was an impressively long list. Some of them were appalling leaders of their countries. But they probably would have emerged as the leaders of their country anyway. And you've got to figure that they were a little more receptive to the United States, a little more willing to see Americans as human beings, having come to the United States, spend a month, meet with people, doing the same thing they were doing, going out on social occasions, as Senator Boozman described, having dinner with American families. It gives you a sense that Americans, it's easy to hate a remote people. It's easy to dehumanize a remote people. But if you've been in their home and you've had dinner with them, it's a little different. I do appreciate the work you do. I know it is important. I agree with President Obama. We do need to be thinking about how to compete in the world. But in our competition, we cannot have a world with winners and losers. We cannot afford there to be losers. Our economy depends upon the whole world being open to us, but it also depends upon a world that is not filled with the kind of desperate poverty, dehumanizing hatred, that leads to the kind of terrorism and violence that we have seen. So the work you do is very important to that. I've done it. I greatly enjoyed it, and I appreciate your program. Thank you.